Hi, welcome back to The Naked Doctor. I'm Dr. Tammy.
And I'm Chrissy.
We have a wonderful show for you today.
Yes, we do.
Very exciting. And you know, you hear the mind, body, spirit all the time. So we're going to be talking about spirituality in medicine.
Yay. I love this
Yay.
topic. It's so much fun because
It's
it feels like it's new, but it's not new. It's something that maybe a long time ago was embraced. Spirituality and medicine were together.
Yeah, Eastern,
But then it sort
Western.
of like floated apart, and now it feels like it's starting to come back together. Like we're bringing that old friend back around. I like that.
We used to, remember we had our podcast and we used to always open it with the Naked Doctor show. And it was the naked truth about health, wellness, and lifestyle.
That's right.
And we had to do it because it was a radio show and they couldn't see us.
That's right.
Oh, you would always say.
yes. We're not
and
really naked.
we're not
we would
really
say that. It's the Naked Doctor
We
show,
are wearing
but we're
clothes.
wearing clothes. Yes.
So, you know, sometimes I get people to ask me, why do you call it the Naked Doctor? And it's like, because they can clearly see that we're wearing clothes. But I love that it's the naked truth. And so I'm not afraid to call it out the way it is. I'm not afraid to say, this is the truth. I'm not afraid to, you know, dog traditional medicine the way it is. I think we are the traditional medicine.
Right. We're the new traditional medicine.
We're the new traditional. And, you know, there's a new term we coined called functional medicine. And I'm a medical doctor, you know, I still can write prescriptions and they're great if you need a pain medicine. You know, I break my leg, I want some pain meds, please. I get an infection, I need an antibiotic. But as far as well care, we have a very broken system. And I really think that spirituality in medicine gives us that extra edge. And relationship, we had a show on relationship. Relationship in medicine is everything. And it can really change the focus of someone being afraid to someone being confident and hopeful.
Yes, preventative medicine, but even then the word preventative medicine feels like because eventually you're going to be so sick. No, it seems like can't we just live a healthy lifestyle where I give my body the support that it needs, not just physically, but also spiritually and in relationships, so that the natural state of health is where I tend to stay.
Absolutely.
Doesn't that feel so good?
And of course, you know, I say my day job, you know, it's hormones and it's helping people, you know, whether it's, and I'm always looking for that extra stuff that they can't get anywhere else. That when they're stuck or they're stuck in sickness and they're looking for wellness, you know, yes, we have some cool things like we do hyperbaric oxygen chamber, we do vitamin IVs, you know, we do stem cells, we do all sorts of things. But really, I think what people come to our office for is a relationship. Because it's warm, it's cozy, the girls are sweet, they're family. And I always tell people, you know, when you come to me as a new patient, we become family. So make sure you want to be here. Because, you know,
because
life's
you're
too
getting
short.
treated as an entire person. This is not going to be a black and white, I slide a piece of paper across to you and go, good luck, and you never see me again. This is going to be a relationship where all of you is treated, and that feels really good and new. Why is that so different and new? Why does that have to be shocking?
Why is traditional medicine
What? You're
just
actually
big
going
pharma?
to talk to me? What? Yes.
And why is functional medicine just because we have a relationship? I don't know. It's just kind of crazy that way. People are always really surprised when, you know, they first come and they find out, like, before they leave, I give them my cell phone number. Like, what? You what? What? I promise I won't call you. I'm like, no, that's what I'm here for. This is a healing relationship. This is a wellness relationship. You can't do that at home and see every 6 months in a prescription. So.
And that is different, and that is new. And I commend you for that. And I hope that as this moves forward, it's going to be very commonplace. We'll look back on these recordings and say, yeah, you were at the forefront. But I am hoping upon hope that this treatment of the whole person is something that becomes so common that it's just the way it's done.
And unfortunately, you have to advocate for yourself and get those needs met because the traditional world is just not set up to do that. So we have some fun stuff. We're going to be talking about spirituality and medicine, but we're going to kind of go with a little nerdy science behind it too, so that it's not going to be, you know, woo-woo kind of stuff. But
Not just woo-woo.
Not just,
Woo-woo's
but
fun
that's
too.
important. It's fun
a
too.
little woo-woo.
We're going to take a little break and we'll be right back with the Naked Doctor. Welcome back to The Naked Doctor. I'm Dr. Tammy.
And I'm Chrissy.
We are having so much fun today. We're talking about spirituality in medicine.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people get shut down when they hear spirituality because if you've ever had a negative context for religion in your life, some people have just checked out and said, no,
yes,
not
it's
going
another
there.
one of those, I think it's been generationally carried forward. There was some church abuse as well, as long as family, family abuse too. I think in the name of, sometimes that stuff was carried out. So when we talk about spirituality, we're not talking about one certain belief system. We're talking about treating that, how would you define it? The inner part of you, that inner conscious emotional part that seems to be looking out from behind these eyes and judging everything. Is that what you would call it, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Soul,
I
spirit.
see you.
I see you.
me.
I
That's the
recognize that
vulnerable.
part of you
No,
that I think is
namaste
also in
is
me. I think so.
The spirit in me sees
Yes.
the spirit in you,
That's a
or
good one.
the goofball in me sees the
Yes.
goofball in you. So I kind of think, when you're looking at medicine and you want to put a little nerdy science spin on it, because I promised you that we would not be woo-woo. But it's funny, we were just talking about woo-woo is just science that we don't understand.
Yes,
yet.
I think that some of what we're labeling as woo-woo is just technology that we don't understand yet. And at some point we will. We'll say, oh, well, of course I can read your mind. It makes sense now. But
Well, think about what we're doing with our cell phones right now. I always say that's
took a
telepathy.
cell phone back, that would have been absolutely impossible.
Yeah, for
how
us,
many years
even
ago? Not
40
even that
years
far.
ago.
If you'd taken that to 8-year-old me, that I could have
Yeah.
had that at, oh yes, that would have been so cool. But so I think so. I think some of the things that we're looking at as new science now, like epigenetics, will seem like old hat by the time we get a few years down the road.
Absolutely. I think sometimes, I think about this a lot when I'm texting, that it is literally a glass, some plastic, and some, silicone in there.
Somebody trapped some lightning in a little plastic rectangle, and now you can read my mind. I can send
Exactly.
you texts
You can
that
even
no
be-
one else can hear.
You can even be in Europe
Yes.
and know what I'm thinking
And
right now.
my messages are going to space.
And I don't even have to
space and
verbalize it.
back down.
All I have to do is think it and convey it to this little box.
That seems like magic. So a little hope doing something for you, we don't have to label that as magic. That's just, we're learning how to hack our own system a little bit, maybe.
Hack our DNA,
Yes.
hack our system. I'm such a nerd with DNA.
Yeah.
I love to do it in the practice too. But so
A whole DNA show.
the whole we will.
We
Yeah,
will.
we're
Yes.
just laying the groundwork for all the shows that we're going to do. We could just
are.
spend the whole show talking about all the shows we want to do.
What to do? Welcome to the show where we plan future shows.
That could be a show.
That's the way we do
That
it, for
could be
real.
a
That could be a show.
So I want to just set the groundwork, because everything I do in my practice, I'm just kind of that girl that has to have, I'm a critical thinker. And I have to, there are some things that, like acupuncture, I know work, I don't know how it works. So I'm not real quick to recommend it, because there's so many things that I do understand that works that I can promote. So I'm not a brain surgeon, so I don't do brain surgery. I wouldn't pretend to know anything about brain surgery. I'm the hormone girl, so I know a lot about hormones. I know a lot about the functional medicine kind of stuff. So kind of staying within your scope. So if I stay within the scope of the science of spirituality and medicine, and we kind of separate out what is mind and what is spirit. And I think of mind as this construct that we as humans have, the filters that this carbon structure has. I think of spirit as that extension of us beyond, because the mind has this perception. So if we look at mind in medicine versus spirituality in medicine, we'll kind of get to that, there's something called a placebo. I think everybody knows the term placebo, right? A placebo means that the thought that something is going to work will work. And there's another term called nocebo in medicine. But here's the interesting thing. There is no scientific research trial on anything, whether it's on psychology or it's done on a pharmaceutical or a supplement. There is no study that is recognized as legitimate in science without a placebo arm.
That's how strong the placebo effect is
That's
that
how
it
strong.
must be included when they are studying new medicines, new processes. And so if that's possible, and I've always said that, if it would be possible for me to just believe, that means that there's a mechanism happening apart from that pill, and how do you harness that mechanism?
Yes.
Ooh, because if you know it's there, and you know it's possible, what are you, is that where the spirit gets involved, Tammy, do you think?
I
maybe.
do.
That's the part where it feels like we have, and this is where I commend you, because it feels like, for those of us especially that are working the spiritual side of things, that we have to keep, not have to, but we want to keep one foot firmly in the we understand the medicine, we understand the research, but we want to dip that other toe into this spiritual side. We're not completely going off the deep end and saying, I'm giving up all my medicine and I'm just going to rub crystals on my forehead from now on.
Yeah,
That's not going to work for anybody. But I want to be able to incorporate those things that I do feel like are benefiting me, that nocebo effect, along with the things that you know are physical that do work well for me. And what kind of new type of health can you come up with when you bundle those two together?
Absolutely.
That seems powerful.
And so the nocebo effect is just the opposite. When you think something's going to harm you, and you step into that. And so it's like, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and they got you got 6 months to live. Literally within the week of the 6-month mark, he passed. So it's like, be careful what you say.
Yes. Now, I have known someone that thought that there was an ingredient that they were allergic to in something, and they had a full allergic reaction, and it turned out that that ingredient was not in the food at all, but they were so ready and so convinced that it was going to happen that they had a full anaphylactic shock practically from something that wasn't actually there. And even they said, I need to think about things a little bit, because where have I been harming myself where I just thought there was harm, but there wasn't really? That's powerful what our minds can do.
100%, yeah. You know, for the longest time I thought, why don't we incorporate a nocebo component arm into our clinical trials? But we do. Because you're thinking, well, nobody has said this is going to harm you, and then see if it does. But they call it double-blinded. So double-blinded placebo trial. So if you're not kind of used to what research terminology looks like, what that means is double-blinded means the person that's giving you that medicine doesn't know whether it's got an active ingredient or not, whether
so they
it's
don't know what to expect from you, because their expectations from you can skew the study, Tammy. That means your expectations on whether or not a person can get healthy can influence them to either. I feel like we've just learned something really big there, guys.
Science has understood that for years. I mean, like I say, since the dawning of time, since Harvard Med School went up, since research has been doing anything, they pretty much got together and said, we have to do this because the observer has influence, just like the individual has influence.
Absolutely. Interesting. So this means that doctor-patient relationship has got to be more back and forth than what it has been before. Because if you don't expect me to get healthy,
nope, you're not.
How am I going to get healthy? Tammy, I think we just figured something. Whoa. I'm so glad you guys were watching.
I know.
It feels like a
you
big
did this
moment.
with us. Yeah, and it's just fascinating to me too that I think the main thing that I do, well, the word doctor in Latin means teach. And I'm not saying this because I can't be everybody's doctor. Everybody always says you can't save the world. But I say this because you have to advocate for yourself, because relationship is everything. And if you don't feel like that's the right fit, you have every right. Doctors don't have any sort of special, we weren't crowned with anything. We weren't given any sort of God powers. It's just, we have a little more knowledge than the average people, and we have, we're a little bit more in touch with what to do. But if you're a banker, or whatever your field is, or,
that's your area of expertise, of course.
That's your area of expertise. My car's in the shop right now, and they called and said my battery is going to be like $400, and I'm like, I don't think so. So I call
my
a
area
friend,
of expertise.
right? And I'm like,
sorry.
Is a battery cost $400? And so anyway, my friend says, no, it doesn't. So I'm like, okay, I know nothing about cars, and I wouldn't pretend to, but I know enough to say, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to ask somebody who does. But we have this mentality that we sort of get stuck in with our physicians.
Yeah,
and that
we see that white coat and we kind of go, the word has been given. I must accept the word. And like you're saying, this is a human that we're dealing with. And again, if I have a human that doesn't expect the best from me on this other side,
you're not going to get the
maybe
best.
I need to find, but that also makes me think about the people that I surround myself with. Do the people around me also expect me to be healthy and whole, and do I expect the same from them?
Yes, absolutely. Well, they're saying it's time for a break, so we do expect you to be healthy and whole.
We expect you to come back.
We expect you to come back. We'll be right back with The Naked Doctor.
So honestly, they keep me level. I feel good. In those times that I have little dips of feeling tired or not on top of it, I can just reach out to them and they'll check my blood work and they'll tweak whatever needs to be tweaked. And I'm 57 and they just keep me feeling good. They offer so many services that helps me and my entire family. But sometimes I just feel ran down and I can call and say, hey, here's what I'm feeling. Again, they'll check my blood work, and today I'm just getting an IV that's got some vitamin C and some vitamins just to help me, feel better through the allergy season and just have some more energy. They are so personable. They're actually, I call them my family. They feel like my family. They really, really care about their patients. I have a great relationship with them. And that's so hard to find in this day and age that we live, to find someone that has an interest, whether it's 8 o'clock at night or if it's, 8 o'clock in the morning. I know that they're always there and I know they care and they really, really want me to feel better. And that's so hard to find. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Hi, welcome back to The Naked Doctor. Today we are talking about spirituality and medicine.
Yes.
And the connection, and we kind of tied in research and science a little bit. And so we're kind of coming from that more carbon structure, as physical beings, how that ties in together, and just the establishment that the mind is a very powerful thing over everything we do.
And integrating those things, understanding that the physical and the spiritual coexist. Why can't we treat them together? We're dwelling together.
And
Doesn't that make
why
sense?
do we have to segregate our thoughts into the spiritual and the physical? And when I say physical, we're focusing on medicine and healing and medications. And it's almost like, if a doctor were to pray with you or something, and my spirituality really knows no bounds. I always say my religion is kindness, and so I don't judge people for what they think or how they feel or whatever that is. But I really feel like people don't care how much I know as a doctor or other doctors. All you know is how much they care. And so you really, kind of like we were talking about the perception, you really build your hope and your trust and your faith based on the relationship, because you don't know how much they know. You don't know that. They had a joke in med school. What do you call the doctor with the lowest, or what do you call the doctor with the lowest grade in med school?
What?
Doctor.
They're still a doctor. They're just the doctor and someone
Lowest
has an
grade.
appointment with them tomorrow. No, understanding that hope has to be fostered. Let's say that you have someone that's a little hopeless in front of you. Where does that spark start? It's like a pilot light. If you're not the one to at least let them see that little flame is ignited in you, it may not light in them. And that could be the one piece that makes the difference for them in healing or not healing, is whether or not you kind of spark that little light of hope for them. And is that taught in med school?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. You're the one.
There might be some somewhere, but
Yes,
ours
I
wasn't.
would hope
It was
so.
very
And
traditional.
we're hoping that that's going to become more and more, because
I wonder too, because doctors are taught so pharmaceutical based. I mean, we could do another whole show on just that, concept. But all you have in your black bag is your prescription pad, unless you're a surgeon or something like that. But when you're just doing primary care or something, and so. What is the doctor's real belief in those pharmaceuticals? Those pharmaceuticals have limitations. That even chemotherapy and cancer has its limitations. So I'm having a conversation to you. I'm saying, well, you got a 20% survival rate because that's what the stats say.
because that's what the number says.
Based on
when
that
I
medication.
have the chart next to the label. And another thing that we talked about too was the sheer number of patients that doctors see. And after a while, they may feel, well, I've got these pills and I've got these percentages that tell me, why do I even need to get to know you? You're just going to be another. I mean, I'm not trying to be that every doctor is not, but let's think about it. Anytime you're in a profession where it's just face after face after face, it would be, and with very little hope. Sorry, the numbers are always going to be the same. Face after face after face. You might get a little bit callous, where does your hope come from at that point? Oh, goodness sakes.
And
I
this sounds
understand
negative,
well, no,
but I
it
can
feels
tell
like,
you that
like an
anybody out there
ingredient has
who's-
been missing.
Yeah.
Like an important ingredient has been missing up to this point.
It sounds like we're being all negative about that,
Yeah,
but if
we're really
you've been
not.
to a doctor, you know we are not making this up.
Exactly.
I mean, there are good ones, but the trend is, and it's all based on big pharma and big hospital structures and everything. But yeah, if I know that an antibiotic, we have no problem saying this antibiotic is going to work and you're going to get better, because we know that it usually does. If we give someone chemotherapy for cancer, we'll say, you got probably 20% chance.
Yeah.
And so now we're introducing that nocebo effect of either, you might make it, here's the stats on who does make it. And so we're injecting this whole thing of really, I think it might help.
Oh. And then you now as a patient are taking that message and you have to turn around and move along the rest of your life with that. And in this case, we're talking about being the kind of physician that sparks hope, as a patient taking responsibility for saying, I'm going to light that hope within myself. Maybe not with a terrible diagnosis, maybe more that I can just take more responsibility for my own health and move into this next stage of my life whole and healthy. Wow, that's a big one. Because when you do get that negative message, it sends the system on a downhill slope, just like getting a positive message helps you move forward. And how we were talking about all the different ways that let's say you've helped to foster that light of hope in me again. Now I'm going to go home. How do I keep that lit? How do I keep that light? That's where laughter comes in, right? The power of laughter.
Absolutely. That lightness. I mean, anything can be lightened up, and it's serious when you get the diagnosis. I've sat with family members when they come in and I say the C word because I don't even want to say it out loud, but rhymes with dancer.
Yes, we did that episode. It's hard to get.
It's hard, and that's
negative,
a place
yes.
where you can't hear anything else. But if you can get some lightness, and I think even in medicine, I can find a place where I can say, I know this is terrible right now, but we can get through this together. And I always ask, where's your support system? Who are we going to integrate in this? And there's so many more tools in the pharmaceuticals that we just don't focus on, because there's that support system. There's like, who's negative and who's positive. And I think everybody knows that in a healing process, especially from a significant illness, that the people around you can really drag you down. And I truly believe that a lot of disease processes are what I call slow suicide. They're so miserable in their life that they're really just creating this, I don't even want to try anymore.
It is an absolute loss of hope, because it's just not, they're not seeing it reflected back to them in any way. So how do you grow it within yourself? That is hard. But when you have a support system around you that understands the importance of that, and I think, when you have a family in front of you, do you communicate that to them, like the necessity for them to stay as positive as possible? And
yeah, fortunately, I think most of my patients, because we have this family feeling, I already know what their support system is, because I get to know them the first time I meet them.
That's
and I'm like, who are you? Who are your kids? Tell me about your life. And so I already know what kind of system we have in place. So that's a good thing from the get-go. It's hard to do when you got 3 minutes to see a patient with your hand on the door.
yeah.
They're saying it's time for a little break, so we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you a cool little story about a research project that is all about hope. So we'll be right back.
I was so excited for Ryder to get home and try this flavor because I knew he would love it. The fruits and greens, it's strawberry and kiwi flavored. He throws it in a glass. He loves this little stir. It creates a tornado. It's all about the fun. Fruits, veggies, fun. Hello, let's do it. Fills it up to the tip top because that's satisfying, right? I knew as soon as he grabbed that straw he was gonna love it, but I didn't think he'd have the whole glass down in under 3 minutes. His whole daily servings of fruits and veggies done.
Hi, welcome back. Today's show has been about spirituality and medicine, but really we could just call it belief, because belief is such a big category.
It is.
I promised I'd tell you a little story. So there was a study done in the 50s, and we don't do studies like this anymore because it sounds a little bit cruel. But they took mice And they did all sorts of variations where they were domesticated or wild. And I'll tell you just up front, the domesticated ones always did better than the wild ones, of course. But they took, split them into segments. And what they did was they put them in a bucket of water and they put them in the dark to see how long they would swim. And on average, it was like 3 to 5 minutes in both groups, the domesticated and the wild. Then what they did was they turned on the light and put the mice in the same bucket to see how long they would swim. And this is crazy. They swam, are you ready for it? Up to 40 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, like 2 days.
So they did not give up
The light.
nearly as quickly. Right, just having some light to swim towards, just to have some hope to
Yeah.
move towards. Wow. And a thought that there was literally a light at the end of the tunnel
Yeah.
kept them going.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And then there was something with the domesticated ones because they would take them out at intervals and hold the mice and then put them back in and they would swim even longer.
So with support, oh my God, first of all, terrible situation to be in.
Oh, yeah,
but,
that's awful to
clearly,
the mice,
a little bit of
but-
support and a little bit of hope goes more than a long way. That's exponentially a longer way.
That's potentially the difference between a diagnosis of 3 months and, if we multiply that out to like in dog years, how many years is that you could live on hope based alone? So, yeah,
How
love,
important that is.
laughter,
Laughter,
compassion,
love, compassion,
kindness.
us being vulnerable, you
Yes.
being vulnerable, and incorporating love in everything. We call that spiritual, but really, I think that's just how we move forward as kind and loving human beings. Doesn't have to be. We call it spiritual because it feels good in our heart, but it's just us being us.
It's a connection beyond something else, maybe other than ourselves, and a
Right.
connection because we're meant to be in relationship.
Yeah.
We've had a wonderful week. We love you very much. Please check us out on thenakeddoctorshow.com. We have Facebook and Instagram and all sorts of social media presence. So feel free to comment, give us suggestions for shows because we have lots of ideas,
have
but
so
we'd
many
love to hear
ideas.
yours. All right, check us out. Come back next week. We love you very much. Blessings this week. Mwah.